Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, it's another beautiful Wednesday night, which means me and you about to take it into the trenches with the best sports talk shows there ever is, there ever was, and there ever will be.
Yes, sir.
We actually took care of the games for tonight. We actually got some pick'ems going on. We finally became adults.
Yeah, except for my Central Michigan pick isn't aging very well, but it's okay.
One day, if I had as much success on college picks as I did on NFL picks, life would be better.
This is true. Oh, Jesus.
I just don't know where I go wrong with
You
college.
don't pick
I
what
mean,
I
with
pick.
NFL. True.
All I know is I put money in this week for um, a pick 'em with one of the betting companies. I'm not going to name them because they're not going to sponsor us. But hopefully, I have as much success as I have been so I can win some monies.
You win money, I win money. It's a win-win situation.
This is true. Speaking of a big win on monies, so as always, all of our merch, which I'm wearing our hoodie tonight, uh, is all outfitted by Miss Michelle over at Bombshell Bowling, bombshellbowling.com/loudmouth sports talk. And as we announced earlier this week, we are starting Black Friday in a part of Loudmouth early. So starting Monday, so we're 3 days into the sale. It is spend 60, get 10 or more. So like we talked about in kind of our two posts today, you can get 3 shirts and save 10, get a hoodie and a shirt and you save 10, or get you 2 hoodies and you save 10. Between me, you, and Miss Michelle, we came up with this, and we think it's really going to work out. It gives everybody a wide variety of choices um, for being able to use that code and also getting people some loudmouth merch for the holidays. But
Right.
I'm really excited about it. So go ahead, check out our Miss Michelle's website and get your loudmouth merch.
I've always wanted to do that. Now I'm okay. Like, but anyway, yeah, man. Like, for whoever doesn't know, it's Black Friday, and me and you, we always kind of you come up with different ways to try to get people to like it. So, like you said, it's a big bud. So, like you said, man, what's better than getting a Loudmouth Sports Talk T-shirt and a Loudmouth Sports Talk hoodie, $10 off? Or if you want to get three Loudmouth Sports Talk T-shirts, $10 off. Or if you want to get two hoodies, $10 off. I don't think it gets any better than that. Like I think that's
No,
a
it's
pretty
definitely
pretty
not.
fair. And it lasts 3 weeks long. I mean, come on, man. You know it ain't gonna last long. Tua Tagovailoa talking shit like, oh, the NFL. I thought it would be a lot harder. What? You don't dare make that fucking listen, bro. Your first game, your defense carried you. You had 93 total yards. Second game, your defense carried you. You played a lot better. Third game, your defense is still carrying you, and you're playing a lot better. But slow down, big dog. Teams are going to get film on you. You have yet to play anybody scary. You're going to have to come and put them big boy pants sooner or later. I just,
Yeah, I
and I
mean,
like Tua.
I like him a lot, but you're no longer like the hard part for him is he's no longer playing Vandy. He's no longer playing Kentucky. He's no longer playing South
Arkansas,
Carolina,
Arkansas.
Arkansas, Ole Miss. But these are real defensive coordinators. I know I talk about week in and week out about bad management um, in the NFL and stuff like that. But I mean, I like the charisma about the kid, but don't get ahead of yourself there, big dog. I mean, obviously he
And
has the Broncos this week, which we'll see how that is.
Well, Drew Lock is injured, isn't he? He's
Drew Lock?
questionable. Yeah.
No,
But,
he's not on there. He might be questionable, but he's more than likely going to play because I think he played last game.
Yeah, but for me, and let's say this, man. Shout out to Brian Flores, George. Like, you know how big I am on minorities and always giving people a chance. Brian Flores and the GM, who is also black, is putting together a program down in Miami to where they can compete. And another thing while we at it, who we haven't talked about, me and you called him the ball boy and Nick Saban and Bill Belichick's fucking dick sucker. Joe Judge, the Giants are going to be a good football team. Like, I really like what they're doing as a program. Like, they're fighting and they're learning how to win. And I really like that's what you expect from a Bill Belichick protege. You know what I mean? Like both of those guys. But you look at it. Brian Flores was with Bill Belichick for 17 years before he got his head coaching opportunity. Joe Judge was with Bill Belichick for 3 years before he got a head coaching opportunity. And you look at how well they are, and me and you criticize, like, how the fuck does this guy get a head coaching job? But he's doing a very good job. Jason Garrett is playing a lot better, coaching. And remember we talked about not every head coach can be, not every offensive coordinator, defense coordinator can be a head coach. You know, like some need to be offensive or defense coordinator. Jason Garrett is proving that. He's doing a good job of getting Danny Little Hands or Danny Little Baby Fingers or Danny Baby Whopper Hands, whatever you want to call him. He's playing better. They just need a little bit more weapons. And Miami is loaded with talent. What's up, Rico? My dog. So it's going to be interesting to see how Miami and the Giants, who, by the way, are both, like, the Dolphins are 7-3 right now, bro.
6-3.
Are you sure? They were 7-3.
No, I'm looking at it. They're 6-3.
Oh, okay. Are we in week 10 or 11?
We're now in 11.
Okay.
So they've had a bye week. So that's 9.
Yeah, no, I get it.
3 equals 9. I know it's easier if you have crayons to count with.
But you just said 6 + 3 = 9, but motherfucker is 11.
But they've played 10 games minus a bye week.
They're 6-3.
Okay, so 10.
No, they didn't play 10 games. You don't play games on a bye week.
Yeah, they played 9. So they
played 9. No, you said they played 10. No, you said they played 10. They didn't fucking play 10.
It's
the
week
NFL
11.
played 10.
So there's 10 weeks of play. -1 is 9. 6 + 3 is 9. I know it's hard without your crayons, but we can help you. We'll get you there.
You know how
I know you're used to having your boots on, but you have like civilian shoes on now. You can kick them hose off and use your toes to count too.
I ain't gonna start with you today.
I guess you were counting votes for Biden. I'm just kidding.
Wait, I was calling for Trump because he lost. Hold that L, cuz.
No, you're adding extra votes.
I didn't. We ain't even going to start. Yeah,
but
let's not.
So again, the Broncos defense has been actually looking. So again, getting back on track with Tua. The Broncos defense has been looking better, but it's still not the Broncos defense of old. So we'll see how that goes. Then they play the Jets, which goddamn Jets. Which I was just watching Big Daddy the other day, and that shit had me howling whenever he said goddamn Jets. And I was like, isn't that relevant right now?
Absolutely.
Then they are back at home to play the Bengals, home to play the Chiefs, which is going to be an interesting game. Depending on how the Patriots continue to play, once again, we might be looking at a very interesting matchup. Raiders, then Buffalo. Buffalo being their last game is going to be very interesting.
That could be
Obviously,
for the division.
it could be. Obviously, Buffalo won the first time with Matt Ryan at the helm, but it was a close game. It was 31-28. So, but the nice part is we're going to be able to watch a couple weeks of young quarterbacks fighting. Obviously, if Drew Lock plays this week, that's young quarterbacks. Bengals Dolphins are going to have another matchup of this past draft picks. Chiefs Dolphins are going to be again another young set of quarterbacks. Would you still consider Derek Carr young? Nah, he's in the latter years of starting.
And you consider Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson young quarterbacks.
Yeah. But then you have
3 years
again the end of the year, Allen versus Tua, so that should be interesting.
Yeah, so I want to ask, because here's my thing. Why is it that MVP, right? It went from Russell Wilson was running away from it. And then now everybody's like, Kyler Murray. Do people forget Patrick Mahomes is 24 touchdowns to 2 interceptions right now? It's astronomical.
The only reason he's gotten some flack this year is they've been in some fucking games.
Yeah, but even still, he looks better than he has in every single year. For some reason, we're forgetting about the Chiefs. That's the only thing that is for me is just absurd. I
think people are overlooking the Chiefs just because it's the same idea as everybody overlooking the Steelers.
Yeah,
because they've had so many close games. Now, obviously, this weekend they finally put away a subpar team. Finally, I was been waiting for it. But I feel like the Chiefs have been in a lot of games, even with Pat Mahomes doing well. They've been in a lot of games. You could say they shouldn't have been.
Now here, I got a thing I want to run by you. Or no, go ahead with your stat real quick.
So again, just a couple games overlooking. I think we've talked about it, if not talking about it in the group. Carolina has been a team that's been hit or miss depending on what Carolina team has shown up, but they've had a game with them. It finalized as 33-31. Obviously, the big fight was with the Buffalo Bills 4 weeks back. That was a tight game that obviously Chiefs edged out. They lost to the Raiders a couple weeks ago. The Patriots they were in a game with, and Brian Hoyer played in that game. Cam did not. They obviously smoked the Ravens. And coming out of the beginning of the season, they were in a close game with the Chargers. So, we actually went to overtime with the Chargers. Right. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people are overlooking them just because that's the thing to do, especially with the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Right. So for me, here's you know what Patrick Mahomes is having happen to him? He's getting the LeBron James treatment. And what I mean by that, I know you hate LeBron James, right? Well, like how he's a baby and stuff like that. But LeBron is so great that we expect, in order for him to catch our eye, he has to do something spectacular. That's where Pat Mahomes is at now, where it's okay, first year he came in, blew it up, lit it up. Okay, we was on him. Then last year he did even better. I mean, besides, if he didn't get hurt, he's back-to-back unanimous MVPs, and I don't even think it's close. Right? And so now this year, he's on the same track that he was on the first 10 games 11 weeks of last year. He's been playing better, but people are like, it's to be expected. Like everybody expects LeBron James to play great. Now let Pat Mahomes have a bad game and watch what happens. Everybody, just like Russell Wilson. You know your boy Christian was on him talking big shit about Russ because Russ is second in turnovers now with 13 in the league. Like that's crazy. You know, and that's why that's why for me, Pat Mahomes is getting that LeBron James treatment to where like you're so great that everybody's expecting it. Now the Chiefs are so great, everybody is expecting them to do it.
Well, especially with the talent that he has around him now.
Yeah.
I feel like it's expected. Like, I mean, that is, yeah. But, I mean, I feel like obviously he has a rookie running back in Le'Veon Bell, which Le'Veon Bell hasn't been the same running back since he left the Steelers. Huh?
You said rookie running back. You mean Clyde Allaire?
Well, he has a rookie running back and Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And again, Le'Veon hasn't been Le'Veon since leaving the Steelers. But
right.
I think everybody's expected. And so here's my other like caveat to not so much the LeBron James aspect, but I mean, my dude just got paid. Paid.
Right.
And part of that, I feel like, carries a certain weight that not that he's underwhelming people, because it's not so much him. Again, his defense is still shit. But I feel like he hasn't had like Pat Mahomes games, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd have to look up his actual like stats per game, I guess. I haven't been really focusing on them just because. But like I said, this year's just different with him. And I attribute most of it to his contract more than anything. But yeah.
Yeah. Now give me right now your MVP, your top 5 for MVPs. And then I want to do best top 5 teams in the NFL. But give me your MVPs first.
So I'll do it in no specific order because I haven't had time to actually think of this. So Russ is still in there. Patty Mahomes, Kyler, Aaron Rodgers. And I'll give it Ben because I can't think of like a running back that has blown off the pages.
So here we go. You ready for this? Number 1, MVP right now, Pat Mahomes. That's number 1. Number 2, I'll give it to Aaron Rodgers, which is a big step for me, George. If you know me, you know how much I fucking don't like him.
I bet Kirk Cousins is in your top 5. I'm just kidding.
But he's playing amazing right now. Number 3, Big Ben Roethlisberger. That man, I'm telling you, for him, and the biggest reason why I'm giving it to him is because the thing we've always convinced can like crucified him for is turnovers. Mentioned he's 22-4 right now to the turnover ratio, and he threw 3 in one game. Like, put that in perspective. What he's done. Well, but what he's been able to do, and just you see the Steelers, the offense. We knew once Big Ben came back, he was so valuable to this team because, like you said, he's the offense coordinator. He's freestyling. He's playing backyard football, but he's not turning the ball over, and that's what you and me have always wanted him to do, so he can finally get his roses. Then number 4 for me, I'm going to go with Aaron Donald. Because holy shit, Aaron Donald he's so unloved. He gets double, triple teamed on 75% of snaps, and he is still leading the league. He's tied leading the league in sacks. Like that dude, give him his flowers. And then number
So-
5 for me, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook. Oh my God. He's on pace to hit 2,000 as long as he can stay healthy. And then I'll put Kyler Murray as my 6. 7 would be D Hop. And then 8, I'm going to go with TJ Watt. Because those dudes, like those 8 people, they changed the game. Like those are, and then Tom Brady. I just don't like, Tom Brady has had 3 bad games now that we've let him get away with. Where I just don't feel like for me, it goes Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, Aaron Donald, Dalvin Cook is my top 5. That's how I'm rounding it out.
So, I agree with that. Like, I was trying to think, like, unfortunately, a defensive guy is never going to get an actual outright MVP status. They're always going to give it to a quarterback. I can't think of the last time it didn't go to a quarterback.
Adrian Peterson was the last.
So
he would be the last one. What, 2010 or 11?
Yeah. So what I was thinking as you were saying that is, so again, me and you were real harsh on the top 100. How do you feel like that is aged now that Lamar, obviously we already talked about Pat, and then Aaron Donald were the top 3. How do you feel like that ages now that we're essentially 11 weeks into this shit, and me more than you have kind of crucified Lamar a little bit more about being a running back that can throw the ball. But how do you think that is
said where a kid can be a star? So listen here. It's just like the fact that we talk about it, man, like it's a joke. Like, I just can't believe in anybody's like mind that you would ever choose, like, oh, if I got a quarterback, I'm gonna take Lamar Jackson as the number 1 player. You're fucking retarded. Like, you are serious. There is seriously something wrong with you. If you felt that way, you are just a cancer in this society. Like, there is no possible way that you can say, man, if I was a GM, the first player I would take is Lamar Jackson. Why? Because he's a running back. Oh, he plays quarterback. Bro, teams are going to make you throw the ball, and it's going to expose you. The Patriots have the worst defense in the last 20 years from the Patriots team that has ever stepped out on foot. And they look like the 2013 Patriots. Like, they look like they knew exactly what was going to happen with Lamar Jackson. And I don't want to hear, he's a running back, right? I mean, he's a quarterback who can run the ball. It was raining. He could have ran the ball. Now,
real quick, I don't want to cut you off because you're on a roll. But let me just remind everybody what the top 10 of the 2020 top 100 players was. Lamar Jackson was 1, Russell was 2, Aaron Donald 3, Pat Mahomes 4, Michael Thomas 5, 6 Christian McCaffrey, 7 George Kittle, 6 and 7 haven't touched the field very much this year. 8 was D Hop. 6 was Stephon Gilmore, which also hasn't touched the field very much this morning.
9? Are you dyslexic?
And then Derrick Henry.
You mean 9? Are you dyslexic? You said 6 for Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, yeah, I am. Upside down. 9 for Stephon Gilmore. Literally, listen, as I was saying that, there was a video playing with Stephon Gilmore, and a number 6 player walked by him, so I got all kinds of fucked up. But yeah, Stephon Gilmore was 9. Derrick Henry was number 10.
Please do me a favor, and whoever commented, can you remind me what player TJ Watt was? Because I think he was all the way down.
Shit.
17.
Hold on, give me a second. I can find that for you.
I think TJ Watt was all the way at 17, maybe. I think that's where he was at. 19.
Maybe. Hold on. I'll find it for you. Continue on your point, and I got you.
So back to Lamar Jackson, like I just feel like it's really it's to that point where it's like, all right, we're going to just make Lamar Jackson throw the ball. And I said it last week when I talked about, well, the offense has to force him to throw the ball and have him get comfortable. But at what point do we say, well, what's next? Is he a Taysom Hill type of guy? Like, and I think he can advance as a quarterback, but nobody has forced him to get prepared to throw the football. Like, you either live or die by a run, which Baltimore doesn't do. They try to get him to throw the ball. So you either force him to learn how to throw the ball and get comfortable in the pocket because he's a one-trick pony. You get him to throw the ball, you're going to win the ball game against a good defense who can – the key to beating the Ravens is your offense has to come with a plan for that Wink Martindale defense. Like, it takes away from T.J. Watt because him and Dupree work in tandem, in my opinion. No, it doesn't, because Bud Dupree is a monster, but T.J. Watt makes it so – I would say you can say Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt are more of a tandem than Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt, only because Cam Hayward makes it so much easier for everybody around it. So step onto it. Them two together in the interior causing hell makes it so much easier for T.J. Watt. But T.J. Watt just has that it factor. Like,
the only thing I'll say against this is when they're in sub packages, TJ Watt is a fucking bitch to block. And he doesn't, and like, yes, he has Bud Dupree on the other side, but they don't run games to get the ends open, I'll say. Right. They run games with Bud Dupree to spy people. Like, I'll use it last week as an example, is they ran a nose end stunt with Cam and Bud, and then they ran a end nose stunt with Alualu and Watt, where Watt went first, Alualu looped, Bud looped, and Cam went out. So you could say all front seven, or I guess front five, our three down in our stand-up ends are eating off of each other. Right. I mean, I won't discredit Bud, but at the same time, there's been times when Highsmith has been in the game, and I don't know who the hell Bud or TJ's backup is. I can't think off the top of my head. But
92
or whatever.
Yeah,
number 99.
Yeah,
that
guy.
But they've both been in the game, and both of them have ate. So again, I'll bring out the swear word. They're system linebackers.
What?
I mean,
no,
again, they do shit to open them up. Why do you think Vinny Williams is also in the top 3 in tackles for loss? It's just
Can we give him his flowers? What he does for the run game, bro, is amazing. Like, I mean, get him a pass coverage.
Listen, just like again, give whoever the fuck you want to give him credit in the coaching room. I'll give the credit right to the players. Devin Bush goes down. Vinny Williams has continuously been the top 3 for tackles for loss. Fucking Splain comes out of goddamn left field and has been playing like a Pro Bowl fucking linebacker.
Yeah.
And just making crazy hits. Unfortunately, I think we're going to lose Bud in the offseason just with the amount of money other teams have. It's going to come down to money. Unless
I like Highsmith has something. If you watch him, he's getting better and better and better and better and better. Like, so here's my thing, George. You know who really is that key to this defense? My boy 39, man. I don't give a damn what nobody says. He is just everywhere. He's in a run game. He's in a pass game where it's just he's so special. Like he's like Aaron Reed and Troy Polamalu mixed. Like
first off,
he
can we
has the
just play
capability?
with 10 defenders on defense and just put Edmonds on the fucking sideline? Fuck that dude. God damn. Every time I see a breakdown in defense, there it is, number 34 with his thumb in his ass, just fucking out in no man's land, not knowing what the fuck he's doing. He's like an aged Ike Taylor mixed with Sean Davis's dumbass listening to what's his nut at fucking safety. Like, please.
Mike Mitchell.
What fucking
Mike
film?
Mitchell, bro.
Mike fucking Mitchell. My man coming in with he doesn't even have his head down. My man had his head between his knees trying to fucking make tackles. I've never been so frustrated with a fucking player like Terrell Edmonds.
Bro, Mike Mitchell would fucking make a tackle 23 yards down the fucking field and get up and flex. Like, bro,
and not even make a good tackle. Like, would end up on his fucking ears. Like, just fucking, Mike Mitchell was literally the most detrimental person to ever be around Sean fucking Davis. And then Sean Davis also taught Terrell Edmonds. And it was the worst.
Oh my goodness, man.
But so speaking of, again, going back to TJ Watt in the top 100, he was number 25. Correct. But once again, the top 25 was a fucking joke because there was a bunch of dudes not on that list that should have been.
Oh, but hold on. George, you remember when
you mean like Luke Kuechly?
Yeah, that guy. But anyway, remember when everybody was talking about Shaq Barrett, how great he was? He should have been Defensive Player of the Year. Have you ever fucking heard from him?
Who is Shaq Barrett?
Exactly. He led the.
Oh, you mean the guy that had the union beef, trying to say that he should get paid like an outside linebacker, but hasn't been on much of a stat sheet this year?
That guy, yes, precisely that guy. The guy that they said was better than TJ Watt. That TJ Watt is consistent year in, year out. He's been there, done that. He's a bad motherfucker. Shaq Barrett, I can tell you if he plays for that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Because if he does,
honestly,
he doesn't make a fucking impact.
More from Pierre Paul than I've heard from Shaq Barrett this year.
Bro, put 2020 in perspective. Jason Pierre-Paul made a fingertip fucking catch for interception.
What fingertip?
Right, but that's what he did. That's how bad 2020 is. Jason Pierre-Paul, who blew his shit up in fireworks accident, had a fingertip catch. That's how 2020 is going. If you didn't know.
So one of the best outside linebackers in the game have only had 5 sacks so far this year. I'm pretty sure TJ Watt's had 5 sacks in a game.
Is that Shaq Barrett?
Yeah.
I think the window's locked. Or I just don't have the muscles to do it. So, I just think.
Yeah, the most he's had is 2 sacks in one game. And along with that, he had 6 tackles that game.
Who?
Shaq.
Shaq Barrett?
Yeah.
How many sacks does he have on the year this year?
I said 6.
Oh, okay.
But still, like, considering he's supposed to be the man. And TJ has 9.5. I'll take 9.5.
But it's not even the stats are great, but what you can't coach is effort. Like,
Oh, you can't
effort
coach effort, and you also can't coach the non-statted things.
Right.
I mean, like TJ's just like he's just fun to watch. I mean, you watch him and JJ. I feel like JJ, oddly enough, is just a bigger body.
Yeah.
And TJ plays smaller.
Yes.
But he uses that to his advantage because how how James Harrison used to dip in that corner. TJ also does that very well.
Agreed.
And he just plays smart football. I feel like a lot of our D linemen play smart football. And what I mean by that is they learn the timing. You see it all the time with TJ and Cam and Alawalu and Bud. Like, if they don't feel like they're actually getting a real rush in, they stop and they get their hands up and absolutely fuck up everything for the opposing quarterback.
Right.
Those are semi-statted because you see the pass breakups like that, but it's definitely something that you learn as a D end or a D tackle. And
Timmy Driscoll said, what's the topic?
Basically just talking about TJ Watt and how he's a fucking beast. And it's transitioned off the idea that Lamar Jackson being the number one player in the NFL hasn't aged very well.
Yeah, agreed.
I still think he's dynamic. I still think he can grow.
But do you really do we really? Because
I still think he has an issue with weapons. Whenever your best weapon is, it's a toss-up between Willie Snead and A.J. Brown. And then you have Mark Andrews. But I feel like they went from – it's almost like how they use – obviously it's a different team. How the Pats use Cam, we went from seeing a very dynamic offense to a very weird offense where a offense coordinator, it seems like they're making Lamar be more of a pocket quarterback he can be, but I still don't think that's the full place where he needs to be.
Well, my thing is I think the ceiling has been capped for Greg Roman as his offense coordinator. You have to bring somebody with a creative mind who can get him to be better. If you want him to play in the pocket, then you have to commit and give him. You can't go from him running the ball to him staying in the pocket and expect him to do great. Keep him. Have a game where you line his ass up in the shotgun, go empty or do whatever, and force him to be better throwing the ball. Get him to read and understand who he looked for. And of course, weapons comes with that. But I don't want to hear it because a lot of teams would love to have the Ravens offensive line. Like they lost their best left tackle. They're one of the best right guards in the history. First ballot Hall of Famer Marshall Yanda was gone last year. I mean, he retired this past year. But the Ravens offensive line is brute. Like they're forces. So it's not like he doesn't have time. He doesn't know he's not here with football. I don't know if he reached that ceiling for Greg Roman's offense.
So let me pose this. Do you think on the Rick Eisen show, him saying that defenses know what they're doing was his way to make an excuse and his way of excusing their future play?
Yeah, I think he definitely made an excuse because, bro, you know just as much as I know. if I was on defense, I'm talking shit. Guard pulling. That motherfucker might not even move. I'm gonna say guard pulling because one time I'm gonna be right, and our guard's gonna second guess what he's supposed to do. Who cares that they come to the line and they know what formations you're doing? No, hey, line your ass up and stop it. Like, so what? Like, and I'm a big believer in that. Who cares that they're talking and say, oh, they're saying, like, when we get up to the line, Pittsburgh. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Like, you get paid the big bucks, so you can be a grown-ass man and stop making excuses. Like, you have open receivers and you're not hitting them. I'm pretty sure them knowing your play isn't stopping that. You are a liability in the passing game.
Yeah, and he's definitely been turning the ball over, especially against the Steelers. Obviously they were able to force some stuff and make him fuck up, but at the same time, like, this running back that knows how to throw the ball doesn't have very much ball security.
Why they signed Dez Bryant? Has he gotten no? And that's another
They
thing.
did sign
Like,
Dez Bryant. He was on practice squad. I think he got activated to the normal roster, but it's
Last week,
still
he
just
got
learning
activated.
plays.
but
Also,
what's so hold on? What's so hard about read option right, RPO slant? Fuck it, it's not hard to learn the
well,
offense,
first
bro.
off, hold on. That was my point, though. Dez Bryant doesn't have the best route tree. My man has the second half of the route tree. He doesn't have read option fucking route tree. It is deep in, deep post, deep long 8. He doesn't have 3
a
yard
quick slant. His
like
slant gotta
he
be the
doesn't have
fucking
big routes. Like, they're fucking. You saw him in that? Was that you that posted it or somebody else? They're trying to do a simple comeback drill, and my man's out of fucking coordination, catching it Odell Beckham style, trotting back all happy, and then they said, "Nah, man, get back to the fucking line." That's my I guess reason why they haven't used Dez Bryant yet. I feel like they will use him, and maybe we'll see a little bit more than an RPO.
But here's my thing. So, like, prime example, what Timmy said, they don't have these receivers. Do the fucking San Francisco 49ers have any receivers that you go like, damn? No. Last year, they did not have receivers that you went like, oh my God, these guys can't be stopped. They had George Kittle. Now, granted, I'm not saying Mark Andrews is the George Kittle, but he's not a bad player. If you scheme, great schemes will beat anything.
Nah,
Like,
but you got to think, though, they had Deebo Samuels and
but he's not
Chris Godwin.
But the thing, they didn't have.
Or not Godwin.
I know you're talking Marquise.
The dude that opted out for the Eagles.
Yeah, Marquise Goodwin. Maybe that's his name.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, but they got open because of schemes. You know what I'm saying? Like, schemes, you watch against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh couldn't scheme their defense right in the first half against Baltimore. Scheme-wise, Baltimore had every single thing they wanted to do offensively. What did Baltimore choose to do? The second half, they decided to run a play-action pass and try to tell them to hit the flat, and the flat wasn't open. Highsmith, high-pointed ball. That's not on Lamar Jackson. Like, I mean, of course it's on him because why do you throw that? But, like, he already had it in his mind. This is my read. This is who I go with. Scheme-wise, we couldn't stop the run game. They went away from it. That's what I'm saying. Like, the scheme is to run the ball. And, again, we talk about it all the time. Why can't people manage the game the right way? If the running game is working, like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb last week. Kareem Hunt had, I think it was 20 touches. Run the damn ball. Like, they both had 120 yards last week. And guess what they did? They kept running the damn ball. Like, it's not that hard. If you run the ball and you're succeeding at it, the chances of you to win is successfully higher than if you don't. Like, run the damn ball. So you need to make a choice. Do you want Lamar Jackson to be a passing quarterback? Because then get him weapons. Or do you want him to continue to use his athletic ability? Like, and then let's stop all this. The Michael Vick versus Jackson comparison is so disrespectful. And I said that when it came out. Like, Michael Vick is humble because he's trying to win people over because he had the best dogfighting ring and ever. So he's trying to say, like, yeah, Lamar Jackson can't hold Michael Vick's jock strap. Not even on his worst day. Michael Vick was the guy. Like, he was fucking Michael Jordan. Like, you couldn't do anything with Michael Vick. Only thing they could do to stop him was fucking get the police involved. What you doing over here? Just smacking.
But I mean, like that. I mean, that's definitely the one big thing is, yeah, Lamar, and like I don't want to put it all on Lamar because again, players do play, but also coaches need to fucking help the players play.
Right.
And unless you want Lamar to start being Willie Beeman and opting out of play calls in the huddle, you're playing with really a slippery slope because you could get that way. But like I said, it's going to be a slippery slope, and people and coaches and shit like that are going to be real pissed off. So, speaking of people being pissed off, and I feel like we talked about this before we started the show. I feel like there is especially one Steeler that got very disrespected per usual. But they released the top 10 rookie players so far. And again, there's some on there that we can't really argue with. But then there's others that we could really argue with. And especially where they put some people. So let me read this real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about where we feel like some people should be or shouldn't be.
This is gonna be hard. This is gonna be hard for me.
This is gonna be fun for me. So NFL rookie rankings. I'm assuming they're going through obviously this week, and this via NFL writers and analysts. So Dickhead 1 and Dickhead 2. So Justin Herbert, number 1. Joe Burrow, number 2. 3 is Justin Jefferson, which we'll talk about that. 4 is Tristan Wirfs for the offensive tackle for the Buccaneers. 5, Chase Young. 6, James Robinson, the running back for the Jags. 7, T. Higgins, the wide receiver for the Bengals, Joe Burrow's weapon. 8 is Antonio Gibson, the running back for the Washington football team. 9 is Malik Beckham, the tackle for the Jets. And number 10 is Antoine Winfield Jr., which he's a safety for the Buccaneers. Now,
you didn't name Chase Claypool.
Man, ain't that a bitch. So this guy is one of the only rookies that has ever scored 4 touchdowns in a fucking game. And again, I'll just talk about him. So, and let me look up Justin Jefferson real quick. So obviously we know Justin Jefferson from obviously his time at LSU. And again, he's been doing very well for the Vikings. Why won't it? He's been doing very well for the Vikings. He's actually been a rather shining star outside of Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. But through so far 10 games.
Claypool has 7 touchdowns, by the way.
Yeah, Claypool has 7. He had 4 in one game. Right now, and again, we'll look at stats. So Justin Jefferson has 3 touchdowns so far this season. A decent bit of catches. His biggest was 9 receptions in one game, 11 targets. On the season, he has 54 targets and 42 receptions, which isn't bad, and 762 yards so far, which again isn't a bad start to a rookie campaign. But then we're going to go over to Mapletron and our brother from up north. And again,
hold on. I'm sorry, because stats don't fucking matter. Listen, watch a football game. I don't give a damn. Have you seen the Pittsburgh Steelers offense last year? The one thing we didn't have was fucking Chase Claypool. For some reason, we want to make it all pretty. Like, Justin Jefferson is not a better receiver than fucking Chase Claypool. Like, you can literally line Chase Claypool up, and he can go from 1 to fucking whatever. Nobody cares. Only person I give their flowers to on that list is the running back from the Jaguars. But guess what? They're fucking irrelevant. You're talking about possibly the number 1 receiver on the best team in the NFL. How do you not put him on the list? Stats are cute, but his stats are even better than Justin Jefferson. He has more yards. He has more catches. He has more touchdowns.
Hold on. Do you want to actually know a stat that I didn't know? For every 5 receptions that Chase Claypool has had so far, he has a touchdown.
Right.
He has 35 receptions for 7 touchdowns. Obviously, his yards aren't as much just because, again, he doesn't have as many targets. But he has 35 receptions for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's pretty fucking good.
Bro, you're talking about Deontay Johnson. Like, we have Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, Eric Ebron, and the motherfucker is still doing his job, and he is the X factor. Like, everybody came in at the beginning of the year, watched his first game, and said, yo, we needed this dude. Like, he has the size. Like, Deontay Johnson reminds me of Antonio Brown. Like, he's just so finesse. Juju is Hines Ward. Like, he's going to get those receptions. Claypool's like Plaxico Burress in his prime, but he can be better. Like, we haven't seen Claypool. Like, people talk about DK Metcalf,
so here's another
but
one.
nobody talks about Claypool. Like, why does this dude get love? I don't get it.
So here's another one. Again, just purely looking at stats, because we know, again, we're talking about NFL writers and NFL analysts, which, like I said, it's Dickhead 1 and Dickhead 2. You're looking at T. Higgins. He has 40 receptions, 600 yards, and only 4 touchdowns.
And they throw the ball 67,000 times a game.
Once again, give me Chase Claypool in his reception to touchdown ratio, and for a lot of the stuff that he does that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, I'll take him over both of the other wide receivers.
How is Herbert ahead of Burrow? I don't see that.
I think they're going by eye test, and eye test, I like Herbert better than Burrow.
If Burrow had freaking Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, the third 2.
I mean, he does have Tyler Boyd, AJ Green,
and
a legit running game.
Bro, I got a kangaroo pouch. This is so impressive.
Fucking special. Is there crayons in there?
I wish. There will be after tonight.
Oh, fucking snack. But
no, but I wasn't as mad. And then watching their post in a group. If you haven't, by the way, join Loudmouth Sports Group. Like, what are you doing? The best sports debates are in there. Because then you got comments like the one with the guy who said, T. Higgins don't belong on this list. Bruh. What? You know who's another, and then The offensive tackle from the Buccaneers. How in the fuck is he on this list? Have you seen him play?
Well, I mean, that's the same way with Becton. Becton
No, but it's
can get
different.
his fucking ears beat.
Right. But I mean, okay.
Like, I mean, I'm arguing just wide receiver to wide receiver. But again, me and you will both agree that offensive line is probably the hardest position to play, let alone anything else, especially as a rookie. But getting your ears beat in and taken out is a little much. And I definitely put Claypool in the top 10, not only above those wide receivers, but also above some of those other tackles that he could have easily played above. But once again, we're going back to the whole idea that this is done by NFL writers and NFL analysts, which sometimes they look at the game a little different. And
Well, the NFL players, they said Lamar Jackson was better than Pat Mahomes. So fuck
and Russell Wilson.
I just like, and all of a sudden, because D Hop made the greatest catch ever, like as far as the Hail Mary, people are like, Kyler Murray is just, oh my God, he's number one MVP. Slow the fuck down there, Jack. Slow down.
No, Kyler's been playing very well, but it's
Yeah,
I
but
still
very
wouldn't
well.
put him as
No,
the
he's played.
number one
He's played.
MVP.
He's played average. He's played good. I'm
Ho,
not gonna
ho,
say he played
ho.
well.
Time out. I know we're talking a lot of shit about Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson's MVP year, Kyler Murray's already eclipsed.
I agree, but Lamar Jackson last year was just so dynamic, and that's the thing that bothers me. What happened to last year and this year? Why did you change your DNA? Because they don't have faith in Lamar Jackson. Like your DNA last year, only thing you needed to do in the second playoff game. Well, I mean, Lamar Jackson, he threw an interception, he threw another one, and he fumbled, and then it was down 21. The Ravens can't ever go down 14. If they go down 14, you know they're not coming back to win that fucking football
Unfortunately,
game.
they don't have
unless they get yeah. But I mean, Kyler Murray, for me, I feel like his stats are, for me, it's not going to impress me because he's throwing the ball 60 times a game. Like, I want to see him balanced. Like, these guys, I hold these guys to a certain level. Like, as a quarterback in the NFL, it's not cute if you're throwing the ball 60 times a game, but you're only completing 35. Like, oh, you're completing 35 passes out of 60. Like, you should have 400 yards. You should have that many. Yeah, like, good job. You know, like, it's just the air raid system is meant to do what? Throw the ball and get numbers. And now he's gotten D Hop, which has made it a lot easier for him. But I'm not ready to say like he's that guy yet. I mean, maybe it's the running game. I don't know. I feel like the quarterbacks who, I guess it's because I feel like quarterbacks have to have that running game to go along with them to make them better, to take less off of them. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a running game to balance you out, because then it stops you from turning the ball over, which is why I don't know if you heard Mike Tomlin's conference, but he said emphasis will be on a running game because it's bad. Like, we have to play.
They even fucking ran the ball in fucking 16 weeks. Our run game has been fucking abysmal since whatever game that was that Connor went off for. Connor went off for like 100 yards. I don't even know if I'll be able to look this up. Let's see. When was the last time?
He went over 100 yards for the first 6 games of the season.
Did he? Right now, Connor's sitting at 500 yards. I'm trying to see if I can look at stats.
Because we didn't throw the ball much against Baltimore, and after, we didn't run the ball as much.
We have just under 1,000 yards so far. Season. I guess I should look at.
Oh yeah.
She's gonna beat the fuck out of you.
She is. It's so funny. She hates being on. Never mind. No, she don't.
Don't worry, Kenya. You were never on the video until you see this later. And whenever I find out Courtney got cut, I know why.
I hope I don't get cut, man. I ain't trying to get cut. So the Eagles are leading the NFC East at 3-5-1. That's how it's going to win the division.
That shit's fucking nuts. All right, so here we go. So the Giants, we had 141 yards rushing. Broncos, 109. Texans, 169. Eagles, 136. Browns, 129, excuse me. Man, those 9s and 6s are kicking my ass today. The Texans, we had 94 yards rushing. Then the Ravens, 48. Cowboys, 46. And then this last week against the Bengals, 44. So the last 3 weeks, we haven't been able to eclipse 50 yards rushing. But previous to that, we were right around 100 yards rushing.
Yeah. But you also got to think, we literally went to the point where we spread both out. And we went to that 5-man spread, fuck the run type of deal, which I'm okay with also because it keeps winning this football game.
I wish you would let me see how many actual rushes we had per.
Rush per game.
Yeah, I bet I can find it.
Oh shit, we're at an hour already.
Shock
I
face.
love it. Shock face.
I don't think we've ever done a fucking show under an hour, even when we're like, bro, I'm tired. Let's just do a half hour and we're done. Fucking hour, 15 minutes later.
Bro, I got so excited. So like I made the post and was like, yeah, we're going at 10. You hit me up like, oh, we get to do it at 7. And I was like, fuck yeah, engage. 2-hour show today, baby.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Right, fuck it. Somebody's going to watch.
So right now, James Conner's sitting at 556 yards rushing. Benny Snell, 180. Bennett, 14. McFarland at 64.
Claypool at 36.
Claypool at 22. Ray McLeod is 62. Deontay Johnson's 13. And then Jalen Samuels at fucking 8. That motherfucker
I think,
just needs to cut.
You know what I think the answer is, though, to be honest with you? I think we need to go to an odd look with Derek Watt at fullback and put Benny. I think we got to get Benny Snell the ball. Like, he showed me in that fourth quarter, like, okay, because I like Benny Snell. He got that spark. Like, like, I like Conner too, but the offensive line block different when Snell's in the game.
Well, it also is going to finally help that Derek Watt is healthy now. He's been hurt for a minute.
Yeah.
So that didn't help. I also generally just think Randy Fichtner doesn't know what the fuck a I formation is. And that stupid motherfucker doesn't know that we have a fullback. But that's besides the point. Derek Watt showed up a couple of snaps last game. I think it could be very dynamic to actually use a running back, whether it be Conner or Snell. I like Snell going north and south better than Conner. That's just me. But that is what it is. So outside of the Steelers finally actually dominating a game that they were supposed to, did you have any other, I guess, shining stars this weekend?
The Giants. I like the way they played. The Giants get my shining star. They're playing I just like the grit that they had. Like, they're competing and they're doing a good job of it. Like, if Danny Dimes stops turning the ball over so much, and again, he's getting better. And Garrett is doing such a good job of slowing it down for him, making it simpler. Stop having it. And what we need to talk about is fucking Carson Wentz. Get him the fuck out of starting quarterback for the Eagles. Oh my God. That guy.
What's funny is a couple weeks ago, you're talking about how everybody else was letting this man's down. And now, fuck this guy. Get him the fuck out.
Guys, man, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But, like, bruh, have you seen the way I guess he's been playing like that all year, and I was just a blind witness to it. Man, it's putrid. It's putrid. Like, God awful. Like, you got to put somebody else in there. You have to at this point. Like, he is literally
actually, me and a coworker had that conversation the other day. The idea that every time they bring in Jalen Hurts and they just strictly run the ball and don't throw it takes the mystique out of bringing Jalen Hurts in.
Right.
But might as well give him a shot. Fuck it.
What he cannot play worse than Carson Wentz has. It's not possible. It's like, because Max Kellerman said it the most, and usually Max is really hard on him, and I don't like it. But he said when you make $100 million,
go fucking suck a D in a truck.
Yeah, but he said when you make when you make $100 million, your goal is to win games. And he's like, but you're not doing that. And then he's like, you're supposed to be special. But he's not even special anymore. He's just another motherfucker. Why is he playing quarterback? Like, that's what pisses me off about Jared Goff. Like, Jared Goff goes 1 week where he's like undefeated. He's the best fucking quarterback since the Messiah of Tom Brady. Then the next week, he looks like fucking my boy Nate Peterman for the Bills. Like, come on, bro. Like, I hate it. Like, I don't get it.
I mean, the Carson Wentz still is there's just a shit ton of injuries around him. But I don't know. Like, I feel like one of these games you just let Jalen Hurts be Jalen Hurts that we're used to seeing play at Alabama and Oklahoma, and you just let this man play. Obviously, like I just said, they've definitely lost a lot of the mystique of bringing him in almost like a 2-quarterback system. Right. Especially whenever he does quarterback draws every time, or he does like a read pass, or he doesn't even do a read pass option. Most of the time, it's a QB draw or QB read, which really defeats every fucking purpose.
Just like the Steelers
quarterback.
At some point, Randy Fichtner, you have to understand that you can't give fucking Claypool the ball every time he motions. You lose the surprise element. You have to actually run the ball.
Well, you know what? That's the funny part is Matt Canada probably is like, hey, put this guy in motion more so you can see what the coverage is, or put this guy in motion as eye candy. And then Randy's like, bet. And then Randy goes, you know what? Let's fuck this up. Hand the ball off every fucking time. It's like, so no, bad. You stupid motherfucker. We now know that if Chase or Deontay Johnson goes in motion, you're going to hand it off.
Yes.
Like that's what Matt Canada did with Quadre Henderson. They just caused a fit on defense because they didn't know if Quadre was going to get it or not get it. But right now, we're not keeping up that mystique.
I'm just so fucking tired. I'm just so tired. Randy Fichtner, man.
I want Randy Fichtner to go jump off the 10th Street Bridge or the Hot Metal Bridge. Hot Metal Bridge is closer to him.
He can pick 360 he can pick from. Pick one. Pick one.
Yeah.
He'll probably fuck up. He'll pick the lowest bridge and not die. Like,
or he'll forget the bridge and just find a fucking underpass to go sit under for a day. Like, yeah, I do like McFarland better. I think Jalen Samuels gets the pink note this offseason, and they tell him to go fuck off. Unfortunately, I feel like that was like a what the fuck was his name that we picked up from Georgia Tech? Jonathan Dwyer pick. That at the time it was cute, but it just didn't pan out.
Jonathan Dwyer.
Yo, how fucking dumb was that? The same year we picked up Jonathan Dwyer, we could have had fucking fucking Blunt out of Oregon. And no, they fucked that shit up.
Yeah.
But then we ended up having Blunt anyway.
Imagine us having Blunt with fucking that man.
Kenneth White, I also like too, Timmy. I think him and McFarland are going to be more of our scat back. Depending on what they do contract-wise with Connor this offseason, it's going to be him and Snell as our power backs. I see that. I unfortunately, depending on how it all works out contract-wise, I could see them letting Connor walk, giving Snell the full nod as our quote-unquote power back, and then having a McFarland or Kenneth, I think it's Kenneth White, as our more scat back guy. And I really don't like him in that short toss scenario. Connor and Schnell are more of a guy that's a one cut north and south kind of guy. But we'll see. McFarland I've liked. The handful of touches I've seen McFarland have, I really liked. Kadarius White, I really wish they'd bring back over Samuels. But I think they keep Samuels around for God knows what fucking reason for that stupid ass Wildcat package. Once again, that's another fucking goddamn Randy Fichtner fucking abortion of a fucking offensive package. But I'm trying to think. Sunday, I didn't get to watch very much football. So I can't really say what much surprise I had. I guess I'm going to have to go back and look at – I'll be able to look at scores and maybe say what I had kind of my overall impression over. I didn't watch much of the Vikings game, to be honest. That got boring as shit.
No, it was boring with the Browns versus the Texans. And then did you see the dude who was like, oh, before you comment that it's boring, the weather conditions was this, and it was boring because of weather conditions. And nobody got like it was boring.
Weather condition my ass.
Sucked. Like the Patriots and the Ravens had worse weather conditions, and it was a good game. It's just the fact that the Browns and the Texans are boring shit.
They're also very shitty teams.
I
didn't get to watch the Dolphins or the Chargers, but I know that was a good game. I didn't get to watch Arizona or Buffalo, but that was another very good game. I did get to see part of the Giants and Eagles, which we talked about. That was a good one. Unfortunately, we were stuck watching, like you said, Court, the Browns and the Texans, which that fucking hurt just watching. My pick'ems in the Terry Bradshaw pick'em 6 was actually pretty close. Obviously, the Buccaneers coming back and beating the shit out of the Carolina kind of screwed me over. But like there wasn't like any ultimate like big takeaways. But overall, I mean, like I said, it even in the times of COVID right now and shit getting real fucky and everything like that, I'm still just happy that I get to turn on football on Friday and Sunday afternoon.
Agreed. It's like I'm really excited that Kenya made croissants, but couldn't roll them up, so they end up being little biscuits.
Between you putting her on camera and then making fun of her on camera, you're gonna get fucking cut.
I don't know who y'all do. It's like literally so fun being engaged with her. Like she opened up the biscuit. It said, "What the fuck?" She had them sitting out for an hour. Bro. It was like mush. Like, bro, you know how the biscuits are supposed to be cold, and then you pop them when they're cold. She had them sitting out while she was cooking, bro. The croissant didn't even spread apart. It looked like I'm sorry. Oh my god. I'm sorry, man. That's just funny.
You're good. So we'll finish up the NFL at least with obviously our Thursday pick'ems. We'll also announce the challengers. But so we obviously the two quarterbacks we've also talked about a lot tonight. So we have the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. Cardinals have to go up to Seattle. The last game they played each other, the Cardinals won by 3. So who do you have in that game?
I want to go Seahawks because I feel like Russell Wilson's gonna bounce back. I don't see him playing that bad for that many weeks in a row. He hasn't done it in his career, and it's a division game, and I think they know the importance. So I'm going to go with Seattle in a 3-point end of it because it's going to be a close game. They always are. So I'm going to go with Seattle because I think he outshines Kyler Murray.
So I think Russ bounces back and has a great game. But with Seattle's defense, I'm not as much of a fan of.
Agreed.
And especially with the stat line right now, Seattle's favored by 3, which typically at home, that's the usual.
Right.
They're putting this pretty even.
Right.
I'm going to have to lean towards Arizona. I'm picking Arizona for this week, barring any crazy changes. Just as we saw, we forgot to talk about that. So barring any crazy fucking changes, like 10 fucking players being added onto the COVID list for the Raiders, all of which being on the defensive side of the ball, which I already kind of had KC penciled in is that winner. Just because the last game was so close, and again, most of these really big divisional rivalry games usually get split anyways. But outside of my pick, I am going with Arizona.
Yeah. So here's my thing. The fucking John Gruden just doesn't care about COVID. And it's time we just admit that. Like, he does not take it seriously, which is why they are the only one. When you continuously have repeat offenders, it's no, like, there's a reason why it's happening. It starts at the top. The head of the snake is the problem. Gruden does not give a fuck about COVID restrictions. And it's annoying.
Yeah, I mean, they've already gotten tagged with multiple different fines. I mean, technically so have the Steelers, but that's because of one isolated incident where people were being dumb. But now on numerous occasions, not only have they had the same person be on the COVID list multiple times this year with Trent Brown, But then also allowing more or less unconfirmed personnel into the facility and being out partying and having what would they say, an interior party with exceeding numbers per NFL protocol a couple weeks back. Again, I alluded to this earlier in the offseason. Obviously, Chucky is the main one to blame, just like you said earlier in our group chat with the Loudmouth crew. But obviously, the troops are going to fall in just like the commander is. And I don't feel like Chucky is taking it obviously nearly as serious. But sorry, as I was looking at something, Robbie's
Robbie said, yeah, me too.
But like I said, like this goes back to earlier in the summer when this goes back to earlier in the summer when I said the NFL could never have a fucking bubble, a COVID bubble, because unfortunately, players, coaches, and personnel just don't take it serious enough. And again, I had this conversation the other day, joking around with my parents, talking about I wish somebody would pay me millions of dollars to play a sport that I did at a high level, and then come around and tell me, hey, listen, you got to go into a bubble, but hey, you're still going to make $12 million for this season for a 6-month span. All we need you to do is stay in a hotel and just chill. I wish. Fuck, sign me the hell up. I did that basically same idea. The only difference is I was making $200 a week, living in a shitty ass hotel, and playing arena ball. Even though I loved it, I'd much rather turn around and play $12 million, get paid $12 million, and play in the NFL. But yeah. But obviously, you're going to go with Seattle, hoping that Russ does his thing. And then, again, I'm going to go with AZ, just saying they're going to be able to edge it out, especially with Seattle's defense. Not so much with what Russ is going to be able to do in that game.
So it's time to switch and talk about, which I've been really disappointed about this, right? So, football. To be honest, it's gotten bored. Like, nobody looks, good. Now, granted, it must be COVID really has made a change. And, like, Alabama looks Bama, but they don't play. Like, I feel like besides Clemson, Notre Dame, BYU is the biggest surprise. Cincinnati's playing good football. But everybody just kind of like blah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like exciting to watch, like as much as normal. What do you think?
The hardest part is this college year is so weird because of the pandemic.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had multiple one-loss teams in the playoff. I also wouldn't be overly surprised if we had multiple conference teams in the playoff this year. Unfortunately, like, especially for me being an Oregon fan, I was very disappointed how they played Washington State, especially out of the gate. Obviously, came back and handled Washington State how they should have. But 3 major turnovers in the first half really got me, being an Oregon Duck fan, pissed off.
Yeah.
Especially out of Oregon, you're not used to that inefficiency with ball security.
Right.
But thankfully, Washington State is who we thought they were. It only got like 13 points out of 3 turnovers. And then come second half, Oregon just fucking took over. But again, where my thought is, the rest of the way out, Oregon's going to have to show like very superior play if they want to make it into the playoff.
For me, Oregon, I mean, and now granted, I think what it is they're at more of a disadvantage. I think what you're seeing is how we felt about everybody else who started before Oregon. You know, those first, besides BYU fucking killing all those sailors on that day, BYU has been beating the shit out of all teams they played this year, but most people struggle. You know, like it's so disappointing at how bad Michigan looks. Jim Harbaugh has lost the locker room. Like it's at that point where like you really start to question, like, do guys even want to play football for him? And it's sad because Wisconsin's a very good fucking football team. Shout out, is it Paul Chryst who's over there? No, who's the head coach at Wisconsin? Chryst, right? Shout out to him. Like, I mean, they look really good. Really good. Like Indiana and Wisconsin, or Penn State and Michigan.
I hope Wisconsin looked good. They played one game where they fucking shellacked the team, and then they had a 2-week bye.
Yeah, but that's hard to. It's hard to get.
No, it's definitely hard to get back up to get there. Yeah. They got a huge challenge this week with Northwestern. I think
Agreed.
Northwestern really has a very good team.
Yeah, me too.
They played very well against Purdue, which was another undefeated team, and Purdue played them very well. But obviously, Northwestern versus Wisconsin is going to be the challenge of the West, at least as of right now. And then you have obviously Indiana versus Ohio State, which I'm really excited for. And they're back-to-back games. One game's on Fox, one game's on ABC. But I'm very excited for that. I wish the Indiana-Ohio State game was at night so I can actually enjoy it. But I'll have to just get my updates when I can while at work. But those are 2 huge Big Ten games. Again, just looking at the lineup real quick, and not top 25 like our pick'ems are going to be for. Pitt versus Virginia Tech, with Virginia Tech taking Miami to the limits, is going to be another interesting game, especially since both teams are 4-4. Unfortunately, I think Virginia Tech's going to take that game just because they've looked sound. I'm not going to talk about the negative of the unfortunate amount of games that have been postponed or canceled this year or this week, just like last week, just due to COVID protocols. But Trevor Lawrence gets to come back to play Florida State, which they played UNC close, but they have sucked in pretty much every other game. Nebraska has another game where they get to kind of maybe sharpen their wheel in the Big Ten against Illinois, even though I feel like Nebraska's given a decent line in that game with 15.5 points. LSU and Arkansas might be interesting, even though Arkansas is going to beat them. I'm trying to look at games that aren't ranked that we're going to be talking about here a little bit later. Again, we have another Big 12 matchup that has playoff implications to it. Even though I think as of right now, if shit all panned out, Florida would have a big lead and potentially a fourth seed right now, unless an Oregon would just absolutely roll through everybody.
You mean fifth seed? So like, would it be what? So we got Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, right? That would be the four.
So Notre Dame and Clemson more than likely are going to meet up in the ACC championship. So one of them are not going to be in the playoff.
See, I don't know. Maybe, but again, if Notre Dame wins, Clemson doesn't make it. But if Notre Dame loses,
Clemson's not going to be in it. But if Clemson wins, it might be a flip of the coin of how the committee feels.
But are you really going to feel like Oregon?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So, like, are you really going to feel like if Notre Dame loses, like I expect them to against Clemson, do you really think they shouldn't be that fourth seed, whether it's Oregon or any other?
So as of right, so we'll play this. So Clemson wins in the ACC championship after losing to Notre Dame by what was it, 1 point, 2 points, within 3 points. The first matchup. Okay, it was 7. I lied, but it was by 1 score. Right. So Clemson wins the second time. You have Bama, Ohio State, and Clemson is roughly your 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Now you got to look at Notre Dame squad that has 1 loss. Potentially
Cincinnati. I mean, but are we really going to put Cincinnati over?
No, but I'm looking at so Florida and Bama are going to have to play in the SEC championship, at least as of right now. So saying Bama wins, that knocks Florida State out. Then you have Texas A&M with 1 loss, Notre Dame with 1 loss. Arguably, you have BYU as undefeated. Again, chances if Wisconsin wins this weekend, they'd play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. So Wisconsin would have 1 loss. Oregon has the potential of winning out pending a Pac-12 championship. So I don't know if one of those other one loss or undefeated teams gets snubbed over a Notre Dame team that has 1 loss, but potentially a bad loss against Clemson. Because I doubt Trevor Lawrence being back is only a 7-point difference.
Agreed.
In my opinion. I feel like a Trevor Lawrence being back in that energy of Trevor Lawrence back is a potential 14-point difference.
And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, their best linebacker, their vocal leader, their signal caller on defense was out, and their best receiver, along with their best corner. So I think Clemson rolled with Notre Dame in the championship. But
and I mean, realistically, the teams that I mentioned are your better chance. I highly doubt they give a nod to a Texas A&M, but undefeated BYU and undefeated Oregon is going to be very interesting.
How about
you? Also, again, I don't foresee it happening, but if obviously an Indiana wins this weekend and Ohio State has a 1 loss, that's another option that fucks Notre Dame, honestly.
If Indiana wins Saturday, They blow the whole.
First off,
Look,
if Indiana wins Saturday, you're going to see a fat boy doing cartwheels at AT&T.
Yeah. So, facts. Like I pray they win, but anyway, but the college football playoffs gonna be calling, and be like, hey, we need to make it 8 teams right now, effective immediately. Like if Indiana wins, they're immediately going to be like,
damn well. I mean, especially you see Indiana win. They win the Big Ten by beating whoever comes out of the West, whether it be a Wisconsin or probably a Northwestern, depending on how that game goes Saturday night. You're going to end up seeing the committee going, oh, fuck. Ohio State's not in there, but an Indiana is.
Right.
And, like, there's no way you put an Ohio State in over, obviously, a Big Ten champion. And especially if it's Indiana versus a Wisconsin or a Northwestern, you know the playoff committee is going to freak out because those three teams, maybe Wisconsin, doesn't have that big of a following. Honestly, right now, out of the Big 12, I don't see anybody really coming out of that unless an OK State can win out. And then you'd have a one-loss OK State with a Big 12 title. Honestly, I don't see them putting in a Notre Dame and a Clemson with the idea of a one or, again, if Notre Dame wins again, Clemson having a 2-loss.
Yeah, but good. And it's not, and let's say this. A 2-loss Clemson team this year isn't like a 2-loss Alabama team that got it.
No.
You know
it's
what
still,
I mean?
in my opinion, it's still only one loss because you still have to account the idea that they didn't have their starting quarterback.
Agreed.
Even though DJ has played very well for them, it's still not the same.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like Alabama lost 2 games where they were healthy. They just lost. Yeah. Clemson has 1 loss, and the sole factor was their starting quarterback, who might have been the Heisman, was not there. But let's get these pick'ems going because Kenya's starting to give me that look, George.
That look of get the fuck off.
That look of.
Oh, the other look.
Yeah, that look.
That fucking cut you look.
Yeah.
You never know.
It might be sexy.
All right, so jumping into week 11. Well, technically it's week 12. You're a fucking mess. Technically it's week 12, but it's week 11 for me and Courtney picking. So, again, we've missed. I need to be up on this shit. Of course, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are Maction. So I need to get better at that, but it is what it is. So tonight there was Northern Illinois versus Ball State, Toledo versus Eastern Michigan, and then Western Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. They're just wrapping up right now the Ball State game where Ball State won, so we both won that game. We both beat Toledo, which the last time I looked, Toledo was fucking rocking Eastern Michigan. So we'll chalk that one up.
You picked Eastern Michigan?
No. We both picked Toledo.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck. I wasn't picking Eastern Washington or Michigan. They haven't been good for a long time. Unfortunately, I picked Central Michigan, where you picked Western Michigan. They still have 6 minutes left, so we're going to hold off on that guy. But as of right now, Western Michigan is up 52-36. The Tuesday games that we talked about, I'll go over real quick. Buffalo beat Bowling Green 42-17. And then Akron versus Kent State, which was a rivalry game for the wagon wheel. Akron was giving them a game until Kent State kind of woke up and they won 69-35. Getting into the games that we're going to finish picking off tonight, you have Tulane versus where the fuck did those games go? So our only Thursday game, because unfortunately one got canceled, it's going to be Tulane versus Tulsa. Tulsa's backed in the ranked 25 or top 25. I'm going to go with Tulsa on that one. Even though they had a rough start last week, they came up and won that game. Who says you?
I shall agree.
So getting into our Friday games, which, bro, I absolutely love this. There's literally football on every fucking night. And it feels like bowl season. Unfortunately, we're in the midst of a pandemic, so it kind of sucks. But I absolutely love that there's football every fucking night.
Yeah, like there's nothing better than being able to just click on a screen, and just
and it'd be a live football game, not like a repeat of a football game.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So we got Syracuse visiting Louisville. Louisville is an 18.5-point favorite. Man, I feel bad. I wish Syracuse would be able to still figure their shit out. They were really good last year. They just can't figure anything out. Nor could Louisville, honestly, this year. So I'm still going to go with Louisville. But
that's a top 20. Oh, is that the Friday game?
Yeah, that's a Friday game.
Why
is so many L's in that?
Louisville is confusing, but I'm gonna go with Louisville.
Louisville is confusing as fuck.
Only because it's in Louisville.
Yeah, they're also 18.5-point favorites.
Yeah, but
this is also very shocking. So Purdue goes to Minnesota. Minnesota has been a very disappointing team this year. Purdue's only given 2.5, even though they gave Northwestern a hell of a game. I'm going to go with Purdue on this one. What about you?
Same.
Purdue.
Yeah, Minnesota doesn't play good. Really disappointing.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, I absolutely love PJ Fleck, but for whatever reason, like there's something missing. I can't put my finger on it while watching the games, but there's definitely something missing there. Next game, I'm just going to pick for you because it's a 32.5-point game. UMass, which needs to drop down to 1AA or D2, is going down to Florida, and Florida's a 32.5-point favorite. I don't think UMass, just like Kansas, has won a game in like the last 6 years, which they've also played fucking FCS teams and lost, so that's never good. Then it takes us out to the Mountain West. There's a late game on Friday night, which is amazing. That's another fun thing is how many late games there are. So you got Air Force versus New Mexico.
Did you say the Cheer Force?
Huh?
Did you call it the Cheer Force?
Yeah. Cheer Force versus the Lobos.
I'm going to beat the Lobos. Yeah.
Just because Air Force is usually fun to watch, especially in the Mountain West. That, and they usually have sick-ass uniforms. I hope they have a really nice uniform for this game. Jumping into our top 25 picks. So these are obviously kind of scattered because these start out as some of my favorite games. So you have Oregon versus UCLA. Unfortunately, Chip Kelly is going to take the L to his old team. And I'm going with Oregon. I'm assuming you're taking the same.
Yeah. Chip Kelly, I guess he lost his identity. Or maybe it's just the talent.
He's on a team where UCLA is just not the same anymore. It's not the old UCLA where, again, all the Southern Cali kids, that's where they stayed and they wanted to be at. So,
Right.
and then rolling into again one of those Big Ten games that we were talking about. It's going to be Indiana versus Ohio State at Ohio State. Right now, Vegas ignorant, or well, I shouldn't say ignorant because again, Indiana still has a lot to prove. But they have Ohio State at 20.5 point favorites. For you bettors out there, I'd bet the under on that guy. Or not the under, excuse me. I'd take Indiana. I don't see them winning by 3 touchdowns. But I am going to unfortunately go with Ohio State just for the sake of picks. I think they are going to come out with the dub. But I'm also on the same side of hoping Indiana knocks them off.
You ready?
Go for it.
Should I do it?
You won't.
I'm going with the fucking Indiana Hoosiers, baby. Let's go. No, I'm not. For the sake of my picks. It's too tight of a race. It's too tight of a race for me to lose. But I will say, I think in the football game, there comes a time in your life when you just have that feeling. And this is their moment. And they love their coach and they're playing for the coach and they're playing really good football. Now, the key to them is going to be for the moment to not be bigger than who they are. They can't come out and try to do something that they have done all year to try to punch. They got to come out and be who they are and trust themselves and continue to do the same thing. Because Ohio State looks, it's going, it might be over. If they come out and try to do too much, Ohio State could run the fucking board on them. But I'll go with Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm hoping that obviously it's a good game. I don't think any normal person wants to see a huge blowout. Obviously, especially whenever you have 2 top 25 teams vying for a Big 12 title, or Big 10 title, but also playoff implications on the line. I hope Indiana can be close, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be Ohio State. Then we ride into the other huge Big Ten game. So you're going to have Wisconsin versus Northwestern. What's that?
I got Wisconsin. I really like them.
As much as I liked watching Notre Dame against Purdue, Northwestern, I don't think is going to be able to stand up to the punch Wisconsin's going to be able to bring to the plate.
Let's talk about how Wisconsin is like linebacker U. They mold them motherfuckers down there. Whew.
Yeah.
Like,
the dude from Borland, they had a bunch of dudes end up going to the NFL. TJ, JJ, obviously JJ being a D lineman. But they've had their fair share of linebackers play and stand out in the NFL.
The linebacker for the Dolphins, what's his name? Long hair, blonde hair. He played at Wisconsin.
Yeah, they had. Wisconsin's had a ton of really nice guys.
Yeah.
So as we talked about kind of earlier, so Trevor Lawrence comes back to play FSU. Unfortunately, the FSU mantra that not only the Western PA Wildcats always chanted, but that I also brought to Northgate, unfortunately, isn't going to be on the FSU sideline. I think it's going to be on Clemson's sideline. And they're going to beat some fucking ass. But then Florida visits Vandy. I feel like that's a pretty easy answer. Kyle Trask, personally, I think he needs to get some more respect.
Yeah.
Again, I know we talked about earlier saying that you can't just pin stat to stat. But my man is doing some nice things down in Florida. And once again, I hope that they all stay on their streak, and you're going to have a Florida-Alabama SEC championship game, which should be a very, very, very fun game. Considering as of this point, Florida has Vandy, Kentucky, Tennessee, and LSU left. Tennessee might be their biggest opponent left, even though they've really fallen off after being ranked so early. Which, like I said, should be very interesting. Bama only has Kentucky, Auburn, which might, even though I'm not a fan of Auburn and Bo Nix right now, might pose a wrinkle because you know how those rivalry games always turn out. But I really think it's going to be a Florida-Bama championship, which, like I just said, should pose a very, very fun SEC championship for us. I think when it comes, like you said earlier, even though this year's very weird, I think championship weekend, we should still have very good football. Obviously, we'll have to wait till that happens, but I still think that weekend might be a weekend where, as football and college fans, we actually get to have a lot of fun. This is another huge game in the Sun Belt. So you have Coastal Carolina versus App State. It's going to be down in Coastal Carolina. I'm going to have to go with my team that I've been riding with ever since they've actually started out the season, but especially knocked off the Raging Cajuns. I'm going to have to go with the Chants down in Coastal Carolina.
The Raging Cajuns were fighting so hard. Then they ran into these fucking Chanticleers. Fuck the Chanticleers. I'm going to go with them, though.
I'm going to go with them, but fuck them guys.
Yeah, my Raging.
The next one, we're just going to gloss over. It's going to be Northern Alabama Tech University College of Nowhere against BYU. They have to travel out to BYU, out to Mormon land in Utah. So that's going to be a interesting flight for Northern Alabama. I feel like that's going to turn out very badly. They're fucking 47.5-point favorites. Holy shit. I might just hold on. I'm pinning this game to fucking follow just so I can see how many points they actually put up. That's kind of ridiculous, but you know what? Fuck it.
The only other game after, me and you are going to agree on everything. I think the only two games that we're about to disagree on, maybe Oklahoma State, because I feel like you're going to go with O State. And then
again, Cincy UCF might pose a decent game just because, again, that's a conference rivalry. But I'm still going with Cincy. I feel like I don't think they're overlooking anybody, but I think they're also looking to prove a point that they deserve a New Year Day 6 bowl. I hacked that the fuck up. But so I'm going with them. Unfortunately, Kentucky, I'm going with Bama. I'll ride with Iowa State just because of the line right now. But again, K-State has also been another very weird team. That K-State has shown up for a bunch of games, but K-State has also disappointed me. Against Oklahoma State, I believe, was the team that I honestly thought that they were going to win, and they fucking ruined that one. You got Tennessee versus Auburn. Even though, again, I'm not really a big fan of Auburn, but I'm also not a big fan of Tennessee. Tennessee was expected to do some big things. I'm assuming Bo Nix is still playing. Honestly, I've stopped paying attention to Auburn. I really want to see his brother play, but I'm going to have to ride with Auburn on that game just because.
You know damn well the politics of Auburn. There ain't no way in hell Cam Newton's brother getting in over Bo Nix when his dad played there and all that shit.
Yeah, but you would think Cam would be talking in Malzahn's ear, but never know. Georgia, I think, is going to stick to that line and just beat the fuck out of Mississippi State. I still think Mike Leach is going to do very well down there. Like anything else, a head coach takes 3 to 5 years to actually make some changes. That's why I think Pat Narduzzi needs to fuck off. But also making that big of a play calling change, Mississippi's going to lean more towards that 5 years than 3 years of getting back to some kind of normalcy.
Agreed.
Another huge game in the Big 12, like we talked about. It's going to be down in Bedlam. You're going to have Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. This is going to be huge because at least as of right now, Oklahoma State has 1 loss in the conference. Oklahoma has 2. So obviously if Oklahoma would find a way to win, that would definitely give them a possibility to making a run back at the Big 12 championship, even though they've already lost to K-State and Iowa State. But that would actually be very interesting. Now I'm looking at this. So Iowa State, Oklahoma State, K-State, Oklahoma are the top 4 right now in the Big 12. Those 4 teams all play each other this week. Potentially, if K-State and Oklahoma State, they'd probably go 1 and 2. But then you would have Texas that has already beat Oklahoma State. That's Oklahoma State's 1 loss. They've lost to Oklahoma and have yet to play Iowa State or K-State. So depending how this goes, this is a fucking huge matchup this weekend between the Iowa State, K-State, and then Oklahoma State, Oklahoma game. That's a huge matchup right now. Texas postponed their Kansas game. Obviously, I'm assuming because of COVID. On whose
does
side?
Another L. Timmy wants to know: does another L this week give Jim Harbaugh the boot? Listen, to be honest,
They've already talked about going to wait until the end of the year, but you might see a mutual parting between Harbaugh and Michigan at the end of the year. I don't think they'll fire him. I think they'll make it a mutual step away. That way they don't have to buy him out. I'm saying that now willy-nilly. Mainly just because as I was listening to ESPN talk this morning, the firing of Will Muschamp at South Carolina and them just talking about the pandemic and the kind of implications of firing a coach and a coaching staff and everything like that during a pandemic year and the money that has to be paid out. Once again, I don't know what Harbaugh's contract looks like with Michigan. I think he's in his last year. But that will definitely pose them as a mutual parting without any kind of a overall payout. And then we got to see if he's going to stay in college or go back to the NFL, which is very interesting and could be fun. So it's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's favored by 7. I'm still going to go with OK State.
And I'm still going to go with Oklahoma.
Okay. I just like OK State. I've liked them for a decent bit out of the Pac-12 or out of the Big 12. This is also another huge game. Man, I honestly want to see Liberty just join the ACC.
Agreed.
So, what's that?
Agreed. I'm going with Liberty, by the way. Liberty. You see what I sent you?
No, not yet. I was looking at I was trying to look at the line. Right now, NC State is a 3.5-point favorite, but the matchup predictor is giving NC State 70% favorite to NC State. But the other thing that I was trying to look at is, so Liberty already beat Virginia Tech, already beat Syracuse. This is another reason why I've said that they should vie for a potential in one of our guest pickers, which we forgot to talk about, and we'll get to, talking about a group of 5 playoff, which I think wouldn't be a bad thing. I would honestly, if I was the NCAA, I would do a group of 5 playoff before the Bulls started and then seed the Bulls that way. But that's just me. But Liberty, even though they just joined, there's a big matchup, Liberty versus Coastal Carolina at the end of the year. But yeah, I would love to see Liberty join the ACC at some point down the road. Unfortunately, I'm picking NC State.
I picked them last week to have the upset, and they disappointed me, so I'm not picking NC State.
But you're going Lib?
Yep.
And then this is going to be another huge one in the Pac-12. You have Utah that has yet to play. I'm assuming obviously due to COVID. And then USC. USC had an absolute dogfight. Their last 2 games, both against both Arizona teams, which low-key I'm kind of happy that the Ducks escape having to play both of them this year. But USC played Arizona and absolutely escaped at 28-27, and then escaped during Arizona 34-30, which the Arizona Wildcats weren't supposed to actually be that good of a team this year. But I'm going to go with Upset City and pick Utah at home.
I'm going to go with USC. I really want to see Urban Meyer go to USC. I wonder where Urban Meyer is going to go.
Urban Meyer's not going to coach ever again.
I disagree with that highly.
Why would he go back to coaching when he's probably making almost the same amount of money being an analyst and having zero issue? Just sitting.
That passion, man, is different. When you feel like you're still the best in football, it's hard to step away when you feel like you're the best.
Maybe.
Oh, you yeah. Bro, like
I just scrolled back and I realized at first you were standing up, and then I'm like, oh, that's the like, hey, have a good day, like end of the phone chat, or the hanging out at your boy's house and going, hey, what are you guys doing later today?
Yeah,
and telling them to fuck off. But that's our pick'ems. If you have to take off, I can finish this last bit. She's gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, I know. Like, Facts.
No, you
Hey.
keep putting the fucking camera on her. She's gonna cut you.
Oh, she doesn't know the camera on there.
I fucking imagine.
Yeah. Kenya, did you know? See, she didn't know.
Exactly.
Say hi. No, look, they gotta see you.
All right, but if you gotta go,
I
roll,
love her.
and I'll talk about the challenge.
All right, I love you, guy.
All right, love you too, brother. See you.
Bye.
But yeah, so finishing up with me and Courtney's picks for obviously college. The last 4 weeks we've been doing Beat the Loudmouth Challenge for NFL picks. Obviously, we forgot to do that at the end. But so far, again, I want to give a round of applause for our pickers so far. Again, us as Loudmouth, we've been doing fairly well until Brian brought up this challenge. But then once we started bringing in guest pickers, this was the first week we actually had somebody finish out even. Outside of that, we've had everybody finish with a winning record with our pick'ems. Like I said, this is our 4th week. And with the Loudmouth Challenge, we are, again, at random, picking people that decided that they wanted to be a part of this. That also people that have wanted to reach out to us to be a part of this. It's a challenge. This week, we're going to expand it to 4. We have a game plan that hopefully by the end of the year, with one of the last 2 weeks of actual full games, we're going to put up not only our picks, but then we're going to get the best pickers and put them against each other for possible prizes at the end of the year. So without further ado, we're going to announce the last 4 or our 4 challenges for this week. And like I do every week, Wednesday, I will post obviously all the games and get your picks going into this week. So our 4 pickers this week, it's going to be Jason Rasad, Vic Thorpe, Ryan Rowley, and Kevin McDuffie. Sorry if I hacked up some names again. I'm getting tired too. But again, I'll make a post tomorrow with you 4 guys in our group. All that we ask is by Thursday night you have your picks in. That way I can make our charts and at least have Thursday games locked in with any changes being able to be made through basically Saturday night. But like we talked about at the beginning of the show, we want to give a huge shout out to Miss Michelle. We just talked to her the other night, and again, she's helping us with our Black Friday sale. And again, to reiterate that, so it's going to be if you spend $60 or more, you're going to get $10 back. Obviously, you can pick and choose whatever merch you want. Right now, obviously, the only thing we have is our shirts and our hoodies, which these are our beautiful hoodies, super comfortable, nice and warm. Obviously, it's starting to get cold out here in the north. But again, it's going to be BLK Friday 10 is going to be our code. It's going to be on our page. It's the top post. It's pinned up there. So please go check that out. Again, this is going to be the website. Obviously, that's the hoodie. That's the T-shirt. But again, Miss Michelle's been helping us tremendously, getting those orders in, getting the orders out, shipped to everybody with professional logos. Great choice in the hoodies and T-shirts. But it's bombshellbowling.com/loudmouth sports talk. Also, if you're interested in bowling jerseys, again, with the times with COVID, if anybody likes the neck garters, she's got her own. A bunch of different merch that she has as well. But please go support her as much as you guys support us. And as always, again, thanks everybody for commenting But continue to like and share our stuff, like and share this video, get family and friends to join the conversation. Obviously, anybody that watches us or is in the group know we have a hell of a lot of fun just talking sports. But as we traditionally do, don't forget, run the damn ball. Pretty easy to say. But everybody, thank you for hanging out and enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll be seeing you in the group. Night, y'all.